Oh my gosh, hey everyone, it's Alexandra here. This video is something that I have been meaning to share with the world for so long. I've made some astrology timeline videos on my YouTube channel. You can check them out, where I use my Astrozondra Method. So what is the Astrozondra Method? The Astrozondra Method is a way to calculate compatibility in astrology. There are different tiers of compatibility. So you have tiers 1 through 6, 1 being the highest and 6 being the lowest, okay? A lot of this is based on aspects. What leads the aspects? So for example, if the aspects that are most dominant in the synastry chart are, let's say, squares, it could be more of a karmic connection, for example. Or, if it's led by a lot of conjunctions, then maybe it's a higher level connection or a meaningful soul tie connection, which could be first tier or third tier, depending on what other types of aspects we have in the synastry charts. So a lot of this systeming and methodology is based on aspects and aspect patterning specifically. First of all, let's just go through the tiers and say which each of them are. So first of all, we have our first tier, our higher level connections, soulmates, twin flames, soul family, right? So those patterns are all a little bit different, but they're very specific. We can get into astrology a little later. These are your significant connections. These are the ones that feel like they made an imprint on your heart and it will live with you for the rest of your life. These are the people that understood you in times that no one else did. These are the people that saw through your soul and said, I see you, in ways that other people couldn't reach you. Those are first tier connections, and they are a big deal, okay? Second tier connections. Second tier connections are your soul tribes and your meaningful flames, okay? What is that? So second tier is a special kind of tier because it is the second highest, but it can't be seen independently. So for example, let's say I see you as a twin flame. That's my independent compatibility. But you see me as a meaningful soul tie, okay? Combined compatibility would be a second tier connection where one of us sees the other as a first tier. So it has to be that somebody sees you as a first tier connection, or they see you as that. Combined, it is a meaningful flame by meaningful soul tie and twin flame, or meaningful soul tie, soul family, or soulmate could equal a soul tribe. Okay, so it's a combined label. Second tier is the only tier that requires combined compatibility to fall there, and everything else can be both, except for second tier, which it does have to fall in that category, okay? Third tier compatibility is a meaningful soul tie. So if you have a significant connection with someone, but it has substance and it's meaningful, a little complex, like there might be little things that you don't know if you completely agree with this person, but you're at least able to have the skills to talk it through with them and be like, that's interesting that you see it that way, and still have respect for each other's beliefs, still consider them a good friend regardless at the end of the day. These are people that you could consider close friends, but they're not your best friend, and they're also not the people that are the one usually. I wouldn't say that that's always true, but it's very complicated and we have to kind of break it down, and I'm trying to just focus on the basics right now. But, it is a meaningful connection that isn't the one, isn't your person necessarily per se, but is significant still regardless. And you still have a meaningful thing going on with them and their substance. There's a depth to it still. Then we go into our fourth tier, which is compatible. Now, compatible is what it sounds like. It's compatible, right? So it's easy flowing, easy going, validating. This person likes things about you, you like things about them. The only thing with compatible is there's not really a lot of substance between these two people. It's just easy, you know? That's how it is. Compatible. It's, if you're looking for something deeper, you know, you may not want a compatible connection, but some people like easy. Some people like validating. Some people like, this person accepts me and I don't have to put effort in. Oops. But, you know, when we get into those types of connections, that's usually what it is. It's compatible. I don't really have to change anything about me and you don't have to change anything about you. We have our 5th tier, and that would be insignificant. Insignificant connections are not compatible. You don't really understand this person. It's kind of like you're looking at them going, why do you act like that? I don't really understand you. And I don't know how to act around you. It feels so awkward. And so when you are around this type of person, right? Like, it's like two puzzle pieces that just don't seem to really fit the right ways. And while you can kind of respect that this person has an identity of their own and other people love them, you just don't get it. And they just don't get you if they feel that way about you. It's just kind of like, I'm not really feeling it. And I don't know how to talk to you. It's kind of like mental constipation. It hurts my brain a little bit to try and think of something that I could actually say to you that could possibly make us connect right now. But it's not toxic. It's just, I don't really get you. Okay? And then we have our 6th tier, which is karmic connections from the pits of hell. Now, some people are going to be like, oh, don't call it karmic. Karmic's not always a bad thing. But in my opinion, if anything is karmic, it usually means it's draining to your body. It's draining to you mentally. It's draining to your soul. Okay? There's something that is physically telling you to get the fuck away from this person. And so, a lot of y'all, and myself included, I've been guilty of this, okay, are in karmic relationships. I don't actually believe that karmics are very common, which is interesting. In my experience, the most common connection you're going to find is a meaningful soul tie. Okay? 9 times out of 10, you're going to have a meaningful soul tie connection with pretty much any random person off the street. Okay? But, like, when it comes to karmic connections, how is it that we keep attracting them into our lives when they're not even the most common type of connection? How is it that we just keep ending up with the wrong people over and over again, you know? But one thing that seems to always happen is that we learn something from them. In distance, in hindsight, right? But, like, I don't need you around me to learn this. Like, I'm good on that. And if I want to engage with this person again, be prepared to bald, be prepared to gain weight, be prepared to break out, be prepared to physically see reactions from yourself that are negative and draining to you as a person. So that's why I say that karmic connections are actually toxic, because there's not really anything good happening to the vibration of a karmic connection. And you can still grow from other connections in a more positive way. Soulmates help you grow. Twin flames help you grow. They do. And karmic people can actually stunt your growth. And that's why you want to get away from it. That's why your body is telling you, this person isn't good for me. It's stunting my growth. It's regression. Okay, so you need to be mindful of that. So how do we determine where they fall in these categories? Well, you have to know a little bit of astrology to be able to tell that. Okay, if you know the aspects, you can learn this pretty easily. Okay, I mean, there's a lot that goes into this, but I'm going to tell you the main basic part of it. If it is a karmic connection, it is led, there's 2 ways to tell. Number 1, it is either led by squares, okay? That's the first way. If most of your aspects with this person are led by squares, meaning that's the most aspects that you have with them, are mostly squares. Every time this person is around you, there is always a conflict. There is always something that is negative and draining your energy. They always have a problem with you. Conflicts. So they're always going to bring a conflict, okay? So imagine, for example, you have like a bunch of planets in your first house squaring somebody's Venus, okay? Their Venus is squaring all of your planets in your first house. And Venus, the more negative side, is being brought out of that because it's being aspected in a very negative way. It's overwhelming the Venus. And so because of that, you know, you can expect somebody who will pick on you and say, I don't like what you're wearing today. It doesn't look good. You have something in your teeth and your breath smells. Or maybe they're just coming up to you constantly, giving you shit about who you are as a person, right? That first house energy can be not just appearance, but who you are as a person. That was really awkward the way that you just spoke to them. Maybe try this next time. Be very critical of you. People that were your bully can be karmics very easily. You might have a lot of squares with your bullies, right? Because these are people that have a negative energy. Every time you come around, they always got to say something negative. These are people that are abusive. These are people that pick on you, okay? It doesn't feel good to be around a karmic. It's not healthy. I will never ever say karmics are great for your health and your growth in that way. They are not really good for you. They are bad for you. So hopefully you learn from it to never go back to that. That's how you learn from a karmic, because you fuck around and find out with them. This is not, we're healthily growing together. No, not quite. Okay. That's the first way. The second way to tell if somebody is a karmic is if you have 6th house, 8th house, or 12th house dominant synastry with this person. So if when you're looking at your charts, if either one of you has, let's say, person A or person B's placements are in the other's 8th house. So most of their placements are in the other person's 8th house, right? Then that would be a karmic connection, because most of that energy is focused in this house. Now, why the 6th, 8th, and 12th? Because 6th, 8th, and 12th in traditional astrology are known as the malefic houses. So when somebody's placements are dominantly in a malefic house, you will feel this person as a malefic, as a karmic. Okay, you will see them as somebody who drains your energy. 6th house, physically, okay? 8th house, all these houses, they take something from you. That's why it's malefic. You give your service, right, in the 6th house. So you could be giving a lot of energy to somebody like this. You have a lot of servitude towards them. You basically become their slave without knowing it. In 8th house, this is something where, you know, they can take a lot of your emotional energy from you and, you know, make you really upset. It can be emotionally abusive at its worst, right? You can look into that, but, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But there's also darker themes that I'm not mentioning for the sake of keeping it clean in this video, that are way darker that it could really go into. So you want to be careful with these people. Karmics are not people that it's hot and sexy and toxic. No, this is something that should be taken seriously. When you're involved with a karmic, this is somebody who could really hurt you. This is somebody who could hurt you mentally, emotionally, physically, okay? So without me like saying too much about that, you can kind of guess where that could go. Okay, a lot of karmics, this is dark, but if you hear about like a husband killing his wife, 9 times out of 10, that's a karmic. This is a karmic relationship. You are in situations with people that will harm you on purpose. They are your enemies. They are malefics. They are not your friends. And 6th house is actually traditionally known as the house of enemies. And somehow people have said, no, that's the 12th house, 7th house, and 8th house. 7th house is a whole other story, because the only reason y'all see these people as your enemies is because you actually had a relationship with this person when they show up in your 7th house, house of relationships, okay? That includes all relationships, friends and foes. But 6th house is just straight up enemies, and straight up, like, sometimes coworkers, yeah? But, and that's a different thing. Then your relationship should strictly be about work, right? But the other thing about that is work is karmic. Work is draining. Work is physically making you miserable, right? When I was a server, I would feel so terrible all the time. Like, that's such a 6th house job, you know? Your nervous system is so high up there. It is physically and emotionally draining. And yeah, it will take from you. These houses take from you. So imagine somebody's placements all in your 6th house. This person will take from you. You'll feel like it's unrequited. You feel like you give and give and give to this person, and they don't reciprocate it, okay? So be careful of that. Unrequited love is very 6th house. If we look at the 12th house energy, You know, they can very much play mental games with you. They can be a hidden enemy, right? So they'll backstab you right under your nose and you don't even realize it till the truth comes out. And you realize that they're draining your reputation. They're throwing your name under the bus. And so you need to be careful of people like that, who can also invite you into situations that are harmful when they are drunk or under some type of different mental consciousness, right? It's very low vibrational energy in the 12th house when we start partaking in substances that are abusive to our systems, okay? And then you can get in some situations with people like that. I've had personal experiences that way, and I've seen it happen with other people with 12th house synastry, so I'm just going to lightly mention it and leave it to your imagination. But anyway, that is the karmic section. It's from the pits of hell, and I don't recommend it. All it takes is one person to independently see you as a karmic, or you see them as a karmic, and it doesn't matter if they see you as their twin flame or if you see them as their twin flame. It's karmic, okay? Because imagine you have a vase of water and someone's hand is clean and the other's is bloody, and they put their hand in the water at the same time as yours, and now what? Both of you have your hand in bloody ass water. Okay, that's all just a metaphor to say that if one person is bleeding out, the connection is not innocent. All right, it's already bloody in the first place. So therefore, it's karmic. When you mesh together with somebody, that is a relationship, okay? So we have to look at combined labels. We can't just say, oh, I see it good, so I'm not affected by what they see me as. But you are, because it's merged together. Combined label being karmic flame or karmic soulmate. By the way, it's all just karmic. It's not actually twin flame or soulmate. It's just a facade of one, really, which can be worse, especially if you think that person is the one. And then it turns out the whole time it was just taking from your energy, and it was just a game with your nervous system that made you attracted to it. Been there, done that. That's why I can talk about it, okay? So that's the 6th tier. 5th tier is led by quincunxes, which is so rare. I don't usually see insignificance very often. Usually you can relate to somebody in some way. Or if it's not a quincunx, it's unaspected. So it's like, it's either quincunxes or unaspected placements that I put all together, because to be honest with you, I do associate quincunxes with unaspected placements just because they feel similar to me. It feels very similar in that they're both very awkward. So 4th tier compatible, led by trines and sextiles. That's it. Simple as that, okay? 3rd tier is meaningful soul ties. Okay, so 3rd tier means that it's led by either conjunctions or oppositions, but it has to be led by one of those, okay? So you can have all the other aspects you want in there. You can have quincunxes, you can have trines, and you can even have some squares in there. But as long as it's led by conjunctions, and those are the most dominant aspects, or oppositions, then you have a meaningful soul tie connection and you're safe. It's not karmic, it's not anything else. It's a little bit higher. Now, when we get to, 2nd and 1st tier, right? 2nd tier, we'll save that for another time because that can get a little confusing. Let's just jump to 1st tier compatibility. There's specific patternings. Okay, so say somebody is your twin flame. There's a specific pattern that has to take place. There are squares involved, but it is led by either conjunctions or oppositions. There doesn't have to be conjunctions. There doesn't have to be oppositions, but there has to be at least one of those leading it, okay? So it's mostly conjunctions or mostly oppositions, and there's some squares in this connection. There can't be compatible aspects with twin flames. This is my rule, because twin flames are not the higher level connection that are compatible. A little more conflicting, but in a loving, radical acceptance type of way. Very different than a karmic, okay? Because it's led by conjunctions or it's led by oppositions. Most of the time led by conjunctions. It's more possible and it's more probable that would happen that way. And twin flames are already rare to find. And by the way, for something to be twin flame, both of you have to independently see each other as twin flame, okay? It has to be both of you seeing each other as that. Say one person sees you as twin flame, but you see them as soulmate. That would just be soul family, okay? Because you can't really agree on the label. So we're going to say it's higher level connection. The bigger umbrella term for me would be soul family. Still, we're recognizing how big of a deal it is, but we can't quite specify exactly what it is. So let's just say it's soul family. Yes. And when we have soulmate connections, those are also led by conjunctions or oppositions, but they have compatible aspects, meaning trines or sextiles as well. They do not have squares. They do not have insignificance. Also, twin flames can't have insignificance. There's none of those. The second you put an insignificant aspect on there, or you put a compatible aspect, the second it becomes a meaningful soul tie. It's not. It's not. It doesn't work. So, soulmate is led by oppositions or conjunctions and has compatible aspects, because soulmates are compatible, but significantly compatible with the most substance you're ever going to find and the most lighthearted people to you that really care about you and who you are as a person and want to support your dreams, and you want to support theirs. And to be soulmates, both of you have to independently see each other as soulmates for it to count as soulmates, okay? It's very rare. It's a very specific thing. That's why you're not out here just saying anybody's your soulmate. That's why you're not out here just saying anybody's your twin flame. Both of you have to see it that way. Because say someone sees me as their twin flame, but I think they're karmic. I see them as karmic, right? Like that could just be a toxic connection. So what? So you have an unrequited situation where this person really likes me and I don't fuck with them because they're bad for me. And if I do, it's because they're bad for me. So it's always going to be bad, right? Like that's an unrequited situation where somebody gets the good parts and I get the bad parts, right? So how can that be a twin flame if it's not equal? And twin flames mirror each other. Soulmates give reciprocation. That's the whole premises of a soulmate in the first place, is that you both really care about each other. When you talk about soul family, this doesn't have to just be I see you as soulmate and I see you as twin flame. That's just one way to be soul family. The other way is if it's all conjunctions or all oppositions. I've never seen that before. I actually don't know if that's possible. I would love to see it. If you know a chart that is just all oppositions, everything, send it my way. Like, I'm so curious about that. I've never seen it. I've seen things get dominantly oppositional, but I've never seen like full out oppositions. Anyway, if that's possible, it would still be soul family. And if it's just conjunctions and oppositions only, then it's soul family. So what does any of this mean? How do you calculate if something is led by something? There's a very specific way to go about this. This doesn't mean look at your chart and look at every single aspect possible. That's not what that is. This is you looking at, let's say, Gemini and Luca. I know Gemini and Luca have this at the top of my head, so I'm going to look at it. They have a double whammy, like Sun conjunct Mercury situation going on. So the conjunctions being the priority aspects, okay? So I put it in an order. I go conjunctions first, and then I say oppositions second. If you don't know what I'm talking about right now, you will in a second, I promise. Just hang with me in suspense. The third being squares. The fourth being compatible aspects, so trines and sextiles. So we prioritize the hard aspects. Then we do the easy flowing aspects, and then the unaspected stuff / quincunxes, okay? So those are the order that we prioritize it. And it makes it very easy when you train yourself to look at it in that order to know where to look and know at what signs we're looking at when you learn the patterns to look across the chart, you know? You can train your eyes to see it immediately because you're looking for the conjunctions first, then you're looking for the oppositions, then you're looking for the squares, then you're looking for the trines and sextiles, and then you're looking for unaspected or quincunx. Once you get into the hang of it, it becomes so natural. That's why it's important you know your aspects when you're doing this type of thing, to know how to do this, okay? I've made an aspect video already up on my YouTube channel, so if you would like to know how to be able to do this, you can actually look at my aspect video that I've made here for you, so you can learn exactly what those things are and how to calculate them in your chart, okay? Always use a circle chart, please, for the love of God. Please use a circle chart, okay? Much love, but please use a circle. Make me happy. So that conjunction, you would say next to their sun, you would say conjunction. Next to their Mercury, you would say conjunction. Then if it's an opposition, so say like somebody's moon is opposition someone's Venus, but there's no conjunctions to that moon. So there's an opposition though. So I would say the moon is opposition. So we prioritize in that order of aspects. Oh, there's no oppositions. The moon's actually squaring Mercury. Okay, then the moon is square. Okay, so you go in priority of conjunctions, oppositions, square. Trines and sextiles, it's all going to be the same outcome anyway with those two. To me, it means the same thing, honestly. What's the difference between a trine and a sextile? Go watch my video. I already talked about this. Quincunx, if there's not a trine or a sextile, at that point, I already know it's insignificant because there's nothing else left for it to be. So that already means it's either unaspected or there's a quincunx. By default, that I just go insignificant, okay? So you don't really need to look for that, but you should know how to look for it regardless. You should know your shit. But, you know, when you get in the hang of it, you kind of just default and say, all right, this is unaspected, or it's a quincunx, so insignificant, boom. You could just go down the list, really, that's what it is. Obviously, I have my own orbs that I use. Every astrologer I know uses different orbs. I don't know a single astrologer uses the same orbs as the next one, okay? So you're gonna have to decide that on your own as a brilliant astrologer that you are. Just, credit my methodology if you're using it because this is where you got it from. If you want to try this, great, love it. But just make sure to credit me because I'm the one who created this. I put a lot of work into it over the past year or two that I've been working on this specific methodology. If you don't like innovation, just say so and move on. I'm not your girl. I know things enough for me to be able to question things. And that's just like the type of person I am. It's not arrogance, it's curiosity. The sooner that you can accept that, the sooner that you get along with me. If you don't like that and you think that people shouldn't question things, then I'm not for you. I'm a creator, I'm an Aries, like I'm a pioneer. I'm gonna create something. That's what I'm gonna do at the end of the day. If you don't like that, then why are you here? At least we can have a discussion about things in a mature way. I feel like people actually want to discuss things seriously. I'm like, all right, this is the vibe that I came for. Those are the main points, really, you guys. That's how you find it. It's so simple. And here's the other thing. When you do find a first-tier person, you also want to make sure you look at their chart and see if they're karmic with themselves. In the way that I just taught compatibility is the same way you can do it to your own chart. Like, if I'm mostly led by squares, I'm a karmic person, and I'm going to have to constantly work on myself if I want to be in a successful relationship. It doesn't mean I can't be in one, but it just means that it would be a lot of work on my part to make sure, and I would have to dedicate every day. If I'm not willing to do that, then maybe I shouldn't be in a relationship. And unfortunately, I've had endgame soul family synastry with this guy years ago. And just for him to be a karmic to himself with like a lot of 12th house synastry, and it's so obvious that he had red flags, and it's like I don't even need the astrology to tell me that like you shouldn't go back to him because the red flags speak for themselves. Like, he was yelling at me, he was throwing tantrums at me when I didn't end up being his girlfriend because I said I was emotionally unavailable, I can't be with you, sorry. He's like yelling at me that he's a grown-ass man and blah blah blah, okay? Or, disrespecting my physical boundaries, or flipping me off in public angrily, seething like the raging Hulk in front of people that I don't know. It's very weird, right? And I'm glad that I never went back to that because even though we had that soul family endgame synastry, you were karmic with yourself, so who cares? It becomes a whole array of things. It's very rare to be karmic with yourself. So when it happens, you're just like, does the universe hate me? Or you ask, like, why do you keep sending these karmics my way? Do you hate me? I don't know, babe. I've yet to meet my twin flame soulmate endgame. Because you could be twin flames with someone, but doesn't mean you're going to work out. That's why you can't just sum up a karmic to being someone who doesn't work out, because twin flames don't work out. Soulmates sometimes don't work out. Twin flames can work out, obviously. But, like, I'm just saying, it's more likely your endgame with someone who's a higher level connection than you are anything else. When you're a karmic person, you kind of think that anybody is good with you. So if you do have a karmic chart, you think anybody is the one. And I'm sorry to say that, but you do. Which is also why if you're not a karmic and you attract karmics that are soulmate types, it's like, why are you a soulmate just for you to be a karmic to yourself? Like, you could have had a connection with literally anybody. And it would have been great for you, because having a compatible connection with someone is already more compatible than it is with yourself. That's basically what endgame is. It's like they have to be more compatible with you than you are to yourself. That's endgame. Because otherwise, because this is the thought process behind it. Why would I get with someone if they don't offer me something that I don't already offer myself? That doesn't make sense. If I'm choosing a life with someone, it's because of the perks of being with them. Everyone knows that. You don't marry someone because it sucks. You don't marry someone going in because, you know, it's hard. I mean, I guess some people do. Sorry. But, like, I think that's the wrong reason to get married, personally. I feel like, hello, like, you would want them to add value to your life, right? So that has to be something that you can't just give to yourself. So they have to be more compatible with you. That's just how it is. That's what endgame is. Because otherwise I can just be alone and I'm fine without you. Some weird shit, though, is like, if it's even, if it's matched, well, then do you want to be alone forever, or do you want to be with that person? I don't know. I'm still up in the air about that one. But I think it can be endgame. I think it's a choice. It's just a matter of, do you prefer being alone, or do you want to live with somebody for the rest of your life? If you're equally compatible with them, with the way that you are to you. That's what endgame is. Shorthand, significant good is conjunction. Significant neutral is opposition, so SN. Significant bad is SB, that's a square. Compatible is a C. Insignificant is an I. There you go. We did it. We summed up the Astrozondra Method. Thank you guys so much for watching this. And yeah, please credit me if you ever use this and put it in a public place. But I mean, yeah, otherwise have fun, and I guess look at your crush's chart and if you know them. Not if you don't know them. Don't be parasocial. That's weird. I'm looking out for you, okay? We are not going to be obsessive. If you have to do that, it's probably already karmic. I'm so sorry, but it probably is. Okay. Love you guys so much. Thank you. Thank you for being interested in this and listening to my long-ass explanation. Okay, bye!